and then we should get this lesson started. There's a song. It's time to get this party started, but teachers sing a different version. We sing it's time to get this lesson started. I'm getting ready. It's time to get this lesson started. I'm not going to start singing. So anyways, I think everything's working, right? Let me double check everything. Yep. Looks like everything is working the way it is supposed to. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about random things. The title is, What is that thing? What I did is I went through my day. Actually, I did this over a couple of days. And whenever I saw something that I think or that I thought I had never taught before in an English lesson, I wrote it down. So it is very much random. You can kind of track where I was in the day as I wrote down each word or phrase that I'm planning to teach you today. But definitely at one point I was looking at curtain rods, obviously. So this lesson is really just a collection of quite common everyday things, everyday English vocabulary that you will see as you go through your day. So welcome to this English lesson about random English words. And the title is, What is that thing? Because that's the question you would ask if you didn't know what it was. Well, hey, welcome to the lesson. Let me do a few little doodad things here. Let me make sure I am recording the lesson. Yes, that is happening. Let me make sure the lesson is actually going live. Yes, it is. Let me say hi to Mode Ags, Unsel, Torahiki, Hafiez, Unabi, Freddie Wolf, Sai Sandy. No, that is saying to John Wedge, I'm happy to hear that. Oh, nice, fun conversation. Unabi is here, and Mode says, is it going to be like a name guessing game? No, I put all the titles right on the slide. So that would have been fun, but it's a little too late for me to change it now. No, that says, seems Nightbot is not here. Hopefully Nightbot arrives, but that does remind me that I don't think I put the link to the actual question form in the description. And if Nightbot doesn't show up, it will be challenging for all of you to ask a question if you have one. So let me do that. And then let me also post the link and pin it. And I think it gets pinned to the bottom now or something like that. But yes, if you have a question, there is now a way to ask it. And then, of course, right after I do that, Nightbot shows up and posts. So maybe I should have just been a little more patient, but thanks for the reminder there, know that, but Nightbot is there as well. How does this lesson work? If you watch the lesson, you will learn new English words and phrases. If you have a question about the lesson, please use the link in the description below to ask it. And please use the chat to have enjoyable, fun English conversations with each other. If you ask me a question in the chat, the likelihood of me seeing it is very, very low. So once again, hi to John Wedge, Aerosmith, Uliana, Know That, Mayhui, Wanda Prado is here as well, I think. I said hi to Unabi already, but good to see all of you. Let's get this lesson started. It has 30 words and phrases, so we should probably get going. Here we go. Crocs. Sometimes people wonder where I come up with the ideas for my lessons. In my past lesson this week, I was wearing my Crocs. Is that like two left? Yeah, those are both for left feet, aren't they? That's kind of a funny picture. But anyways, these are Crocs. The Crocs I wear are actually fake Crocs. But Crocs are a new innovative type of footwear that showed up around 10 or 15 years ago. And they're very nice to have because they're easy to slip on and slip off. There's a few verbs for you. Notice Crocs is capitalized because it is a brand name. But you can buy what we would call fake or knockoff Crocs as well. So Crocs, any shoe that looks like this, that you can easily slip on or slip off without having to tie laces, which is why I really like them. If I need to go outside quick, maybe to just make a quick English lesson, sometimes I just slip on my Crocs to go outside and do it. Mud flap. I was driving home the other day and the vehicle in front of me, a stone flew off and hit my windshield, but it did not crack my windshield. And I thought to myself, that truck should have mud flaps. So mud flaps, it is this big black piece of rubber. I think they're usually made of rubber on the back of a vehicle. and it stops mud and stones and other things from flying off the tire. So this is an example of something I didn't see, but I wish I had seen. So if the vehicle in front of me had mud flaps, the stone would not have flown off and hit my windshield. Again, windshield did not crack, so I'm very happy. Circuit breaker. I have been playing around with electricity. Maybe that's not an accurate way to say it. You shouldn't play around with electricity. I have been learning about solar power, and part of any kind of electrical circuit, in order to make it safe, involves using a circuit breaker. A circuit breaker will trip. So it will actually flip to the off position if there are any faults or problems with the electrical circuit. So when you have a circuit breaker, it's just a good thing to have to make sure your electric circuits are safe. So that is a circuit breaker. You most often find them in a breaker box or what we call a breaker panel. This is what they usually look like in North America. I know in different parts of the world, they look slightly different. This one has a series of breakers. This looks almost exactly like mine in the basement, which is usually where they're found in North American homes. But you can see there is one breaker for every electrical outlet and for almost every light in this person's house. And again, the circuit breaker will trip. That's the verb we use if there is a fault. Now you might have fuses. By the way, this isn't all technical. This isn't all about electricity. I just have 2 more slides and then we'll get to more fun stuff like magnets. But anyways, a fuse does the same job as a breaker, except that a fuse will blow and then you have to replace the fuse. So basically, if there's a fault or problem with the circuit, the fuse will blow. It will stop the connection and the circuit will no longer be working because the fuse, something went past its tolerances and it blew. So this is a car fuse. This is an old-fashioned fuse from a house. And then way on the other side is a small fuse you might find in electronics. And then if you are in a part of the world that still uses fuses, you will either have a fuse panel or a fuse box. We use panel and box interchangeably. So you might have a breaker box or a fuse panel or fuse box, either one of those two. A magnet. So magnets are one of the first things that I was fascinated with in life. When I was a kid, my dad gave me a couple magnets. You sometimes use magnets on the farm. There are magnets in DC motors and things like that. So he gave me a couple of magnets and I was fascinated by how the magnets, if you put them one way, were attracted to each other. But if you put them the other way, they would repel each other. They would push each other apart. But a magnet is something that attracts metal. So you can see these paper clips are attracted to the magnet, and so they will move to the magnet and stick to it. And by the way, a magnet has a north and south pole. So as I was cleaning up the back room in our house the other day, I found some VHS tapes, or what we used to call video cassettes. So a long time ago, before we just recorded everything digitally, you would have a machine called a VHS player or a video cassette player. And you would put these large black video cassettes in, or what we also called a VHS tape. And then you could record something from the TV, or you could record something on a camcorder and play it back in the VHS player. Or you could rent a movie that was on a video cassette or VHS tape. So definitely something from the past. We would call it a blast from the past. An air vent. So yes, I walked by an air vent at school. I think I have taught this word before, but if you are in a building, there are most likely going to be air vents in different places. Part of keeping the air in a building fresh and good for you to breathe is it needs to circulate. And so there are usually air vents that allow air to be moved within a building. In my part of the world, these air vents are usually part of the heating system and cooling system. It's the same system. And I think the official term is forced air heating, where you heat up air and then you move it through the house or building through different ducts. and the air comes out in an air vent. So there you go. An air vent looks like that. It's a grate, that's another word for it, with kind of holes in it so air can flow through it nicely. A plunger. So this is a funny story because a plunger is kind of this thing you use when your toilet is plugged. So when your toilet is plugged, it means you flush the toilet and whatever's in the toilet doesn't actually go away. It stays in the toilet bowl. And then you need to get a plunger because the toilet is plugged. Somehow between the toilet bowl and the pipe underneath, something is stuck in there. Maybe a big wad of toilet paper. Hey, there's a good word, wad of toilet paper, or something else that I won't describe. And then you will use a plunger. A plunger forces air into the pipe and it will push whatever is in there, it will push it through the pipe. So you can plunge the toilet if it is plugged. Hey, let's do some questions. Let me see in the chat there. Mode says, got it. Bob is probably building a passive solar greenhouse. No, but the word solar is correct there. Can't really show you. Well, maybe I can show you this box. This box came with a battery. So anyways, I'm slowly giving hints as to what I'm doing, but no full release yet. But I think some people have guessed. Okay, let me see here. Let me do questions from the forum before I get too far along. So from Know That. Hello, Bob. What's your favorite fallback word or phrase when you don't remember the name of something? Thanks in advance, Bob. So we often in English will say, so the other day I saw, what's the word for like that flap on the back of a truck? And then someone will say, oh, a mud flap. So that's the phrase, like, what's the name for? What's the name for? Or you can also say, what is that thing called on the back of a truck that stops mud and stones from flying off? So those are the two phrases. You might even say something like, oh, I can't think of the word. Or you might say, oh, it's on the tip of my tongue, which means you almost remember it, but not quite. Hello to Hafiez and Burgit in the chat, and Nayem Siddiq and Praveen. Good to see you. If you're watching this at 8:42 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is live. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Let's see here. From Judith. Hi, Bob. The topic is broad, so it is quite hard to have a question. Does it mean it is free to ask anything? Thank you. Probably. But I mean, you can ask using the phrases Know That just asked about. You could say, what do you call that thing that hangs from a tree that makes sounds in the wind? Like you could try asking questions like that, and I will tell you what the thing is called. From Azad, who should I practice English with? This is not a question I can easily answer. You need to find someone in your local city who will practice with you. There might be an English conversation club you can join. If not, the best place to find someone is online, and you will most likely have to pay someone to be your conversation partner. From Judith. Hi, Bob. I guess you selected those things. Its name is hard to find out without a dictionary. Is there any sequence pattern in them? Thank you. No, this is a random lesson of Bob's life. I will say once again, though, these are all very common words. I didn't go through my days looking for obscure, rare, random things that no one ever talks about. Everything in this lesson, I will probably use all these words at some point in the next month. Like these are very, very common. And Mode wins the guessing game. It is a wind chime, and I will have a picture of one in a moment. Burgit says, I unfortunately can't attend your live lesson. I'm still on my way back from France to Germany. See you next week. Well, have a good trip. I'm not sure how long that is. Hafiez, project on solar utilizing Blue Eddy, maybe. Is there a Blue Eddy box here? Maybe. We'll see. Let's just say we've been having some power outages. So I guess I'm revealing too much here, but I am trying to make it so my entire connection to the internet is powered by solar and also on a UPS. That is my little part of my little project. Okay. Utsel. Hi, Mr. Bob. When we don't know the exact name of an object, what are the most common filler words native speakers use, like thingamajig or what's it? You're awesome. Yeah, so we sometimes use the word thingy. So you can use the phrases that I was talking about that Know That asked about. Like you could say, what's the thing called? You often will describe it. If you went to the mechanic, you would say, that thing on the car that makes my car stop isn't working properly. Or the thingy that's hanging from the ceiling. So thingy is pretty common. The thingy won't work. It's a funny word, but we do use it. By the way, the thing that makes the thingy that makes your car stop, that's called the brakes. I think everyone knows that one. But yeah, thingamajig and what's it are also common. You could use those. But thingy, yeah, there we go. Unabi says, hi, Mr. Bob. Why did you decide to choose lithium ion batteries? As far as I know, that lithium iron phosphate are durable, effective in most cases. Sorry if it's spoiling a bit. Well, the reality is that I think this is actually a type of lithium battery. But yes, I did buy the kind that you are recommending. Wow, that's a little heavier than I expected walking over there to get that. So again, why did you decide to choose lithium ion? As far as I know, I think people call them, what's happening in the chat? Oh, is Unsel is at it again. So I think people call them LifePo, but it's actually lithium iron phosphate, as far as I understand. But yes, I do have one, and I am experimenting with it. Let's see. Let me go back here. Unsel, thank you very much. Unsel has gifted 20 memberships. So I'm not going to read all the names, but I am going to thank Unsel once again for his generosity. Thank you very, very much. If you just received a free membership from Unsel, you may go to the posts section of this YouTube channel, and you'll see all of the members only posts. So enjoy that. Let me check something here for a sec. Just checking. Oh, yeah. So you might be wondering, why did I buy that brand? No particular reason. They had a sale. So I bought that kind of battery. From Azad Kurdish. You're the best YouTuber. Thanks for the help. I would disagree with that. I think I am a YouTuber who I think I do a pretty good job most of the time, but not all the time. And I try my best. The best YouTubers, though, are far more entertaining than me, for sure. Mode, a 12-volt battery. That's like the one used in cars. Interesting. Yes, but if you put them in series, you can build a 48-volt battery out of 4 of them. I only have 1 so far, but actually that's not true. I have 2. So I could build a 24-volt battery, or I could put them in parallel and make a more powerful 12-volt battery. Okay, let me have a sip of water here. What is that thing standing behind your chair? That is a footstool. That's a good thing to add to the lesson. Some people call it an ottoman. I don't think people call it that anymore, but that is a footstool back there. Okay, let me get back to the questions and get back to the lesson. There we go. Bullhorn or megaphone. So right now at school, the sport that is happening is called track and field. Track and field is a sport where you have a large team and the sport happens outside on a big open field where there are jumping pits and there's a track and there are places to throw the javelin. One of the things that a coach needs, I'm not a coach, by the way. One of the things a coach needs is a bullhorn or megaphone. Both names mean the same thing. This is basically a speaker and a microphone with a battery and an amplifier, and you pull the button and you talk in the back and your voice comes out from the front louder. So you don't often see coaches using these in other sports, but it is a very handy thing to have if you are coaching track and field. You can say, could all the relay runners come to the start line, please? and then everyone can hear you. That's my impression. Did you hear how much louder my voice was when I used crawl runners before to the start line, please? Or false start, false start. Anyways, I'm not coaching track. Many, many years ago I did, but when I did use a bullhorn or megaphone. Step stool. In our kitchen, we have shelves that are too high and they are hard to reach. And so we use a step stool. A step stool is just a very, very small step. Sometimes it's 2 steps that lets someone get up to a higher area. When I come home from the grocery store, in order to put the chips in the snack cupboard, I will sometimes use a step stool. It's a little safer than using a chair. You could fall off a chair when you get older. But anyways, a step stool, a small stool you can step on so that you can reach things that are high up. Curtain rod. So if you have curtains, they are most likely on a curtain rod. This is the little metal or wooden piece, sometimes plastic, that the curtain hangs from. And it allows you to close the curtains and open the curtains. So you'll see here you have a curtain rod. What is my next slide? Oh yeah, okay, I did put it in. Here you have a curtain rod so you can open and close the curtains. But what if you have a curtain, a shower curtain? Then it's called a shower curtain rod. So here you have a shower curtain, and the metal thing it is hanging from is called a shower curtain rod. So when you close the shower curtain for privacy, you should do that. You slide the curtain along the shower curtain rod. So it is spring here in Ontario, Canada, and it's warm enough so you can have plants outside, but sometimes it's too cold at night. So a very common thing for people to do is to buy hanging baskets. A hanging basket is a pot with soil in it and a nice plant that you can hang up on your porch or outside your house. And what's nice about it is you can easily take it down and bring it in at night. Until about the end of May in Ontario, Canada, it can still go below 0 at night. So people often will have hanging baskets early in the spring because they can easily hang them outside during the day, and then they can easily unhook them and bring them inside at night if it's going to be very, very cold. So this is a hanging basket, and I have to apologize. I have a funny feeling that those are plastic plants. So you could leave, if those are plastic, I don't know why I think that. They look kind of plasticky to me. But yes, if you have plastic plants, you could leave them outside. But very common to have hanging baskets early in the season so you can easily move them in and out. A rain barrel. So one of the things you need if you're a gardener is water. You want to be able to water your plants. Now, if you live in the city, you pay to use water that comes from your taps. So you might want to collect rainwater using a rain barrel. Usually a rain barrel is located under a downspout so that when it rains, the water from the roof of your house goes in the rain barrel. And then sometimes people will have a little tap at the bottom there with a hose, or more often they'll just take the water out using a pail. But that is called a rain barrel. A trellis. So I think last week we talked about the word lattice, where a pattern can be formed by wood or plastic woven together. And often people will have lattice in an area where something can grow on it. And if you have anything like this, where I'm having trouble with my hand today, where a plant can grow, we call this a trellis. So you might have a vine or other type of climbing plant, and you might have a trellis so that it can find its way up and it can grow. So that is a trellis. A fire pit. Now there are a wide variety of fire pits. A fire pit can simply be a shallow hole dug in the ground. A fire pit can be more elaborate, like this, where they actually used bricks and they didn't just make a fire pit, they made a seating area around the fire pit. But a fire pit is a place where you can safely have a fire. We might even call it a campfire. Usually in my part of the world, people will have a fire pit from late spring until early fall. So we have not used our fire pit yet this year, but we might use it in a couple weekends. We might have my family down and we might just have a fire and sit around the fire. And in that case, my fire pit is just a shallow hole in the ground and we build the fire. It's about this deep and we just build the fire in there. Someday though, maybe I will build a more elaborate fire pit like that one. That looks very, very cozy and fun. It even has some, if you look in the distance, it even has some lighting over there. Okay, wind chime. So a wind chime is something that has a series of, sometimes they're made out of metal, but little pipes or little wooden tubes. And each tube is cut to a length so it makes a certain note. So when the wind chime moves, the little bottom part moves and it hits all of the different tubes. It sounds like a random melody, a random song. So again, a wind chime has a series of tubes cut to a certain length so that they all make, like, one is a C note, one is maybe a D, one is an E. And then as the little thing in the middle gets moved around and hits each thing, it plays, I guess, a pretty song. They can be annoying if you're trying to make a video. There was a video last year I was making where the wind chime was a little bit loud and it was a tiny bit annoying. I ended up having to move. But yes, a wind chime. It looks like that. Sometimes people have them. I don't think we have one on our property right now. We used to, but I don't think we do anymore. A bird bath. We did have a bird bath, but we made the ultimate bird bath mistake. The ultimate bird bath mistake is to leave water in the bird bath and to leave the bird bath out in the fall when it freezes. And if you don't know what water does when it freezes, water will expand. So we had a bird bath many years ago, but I'm pretty sure we left water in it and it broke. A bird bath is what we would call a garden feature or an outdoor ornament. But basically it's a pedestal. The bottom part you would call a pedestal with a shallow basin at the top. And if there's water in it, birds will come and they will play in the water and they will bathe in the water. So a bird bath, you can see this one is in use. A bird bath is basically a bath for birds. As I mentioned, this is a random lesson. So now we've randomly gone from bird bath to electric meter. In my part of the world, you do need to pay for electricity. I think that's pretty common everywhere. And every house and every apartment in my part of Canada will have an electric meter. And what an electric meter does is it measures how much electricity you are using so that at the end of the month, the electric company can send you a bill for the amount of electricity that you used. We have what are called smart meters. What that means is that the meter can talk directly to the electric company. I can log in to my account on their website and see how much electricity I use every day. And that's because we have an electric meter that's considered a smart meter. So electric meter, you'll see these on the sides of houses. If you go to an apartment, I think they're located more in the basement, or if it's a small apartment building, they might all be on one outside wall. This is a solar panel. A solar panel is amazing. I can tell you firsthand that solar panels are really cool. But if you buy a couple solar panels, let's say you bought a couple solar panels on May 1st and you hook them up so it would power your internet antenna, and then the sun doesn't shine for 2 weeks. It's a little bit disappointing because in order to make electricity, a solar panel needs sunshine. So I'm happy to say that right now, my little mini practice setup, I don't think I can open it on this computer, but it's probably generating, you're probably watching this live stream courtesy of solar power being generated from the roof of my barn and running my internet antenna. Just a small little 100-watt system. Actually, I think it's 200 watts. But anyways, a solar panel. A really cool thing that generates electricity. They're awesome, by the way. when the sun shines. The solar panels make me very, very happy. Hey, let's do members only chat. Let me turn on members only chat first of all. This time I clicked all the right buttons right away. That's amazing. I must be getting used to this after, well, how long have I been live streaming? Like I've been doing this 9.5 years, probably live streaming for 7 or 8 years. That's a long time. Okay, what are we going to do? If you are a member, you're awesome. I appreciate you. You may ask questions directly in the chat. You can ask me questions about anything and I will answer it right now. But if you do have a specific question about what something is called, please do ask it. If you're not a member, consider becoming a member. There's a join button. You get a little lesson plan on Monday, an extra video on Wednesdays, your name in green during a live stream, and a little crown by your name during a live stream as well. I'm going to scroll back a little bit in the chat. Mode says Chicago is called the Windy City, right? So I'm not surprised they had wind chimes. I was going to do a lesson. Maybe I should still do this, but like New York is the Big Apple. Chicago is the Windy City. Those are the only two I know. But every American city is Philadelphia, the city of love. I don't remember. Every American city pretty much has a nickname. So maybe Brent should do this lesson. He's American. I'll text him and tell him. Let me do that right now. Let's see here. Let me find my Brent. Not sure if Brent's in the chat. Hey, you should do a lesson on American city nicknames. Big Apple, Windy City. Sorry, I'm just taking a time out here. There, I texted Brent. Maybe he'll do a lesson on that. Okay, from the chat, no, that says a little fun question. Bob, how often do you end up describing something because you can't remember its name? A heartfelt thank you, sir. Quite often, actually. Especially if you're doing a little building project at home and you're going to the hardware store. So I wanted, like you have a bolt and there's a nut with nylon on the inside and it's called a self-locking nut, but I didn't know the name. So you're like, do you have any of those nuts with the little nylon thing? Like, so you're often, for me at least, at the hardware store describing, what's that tool that strips wires? Oh, a wire stripper. Yeah, I need one of those. Okay. John Wedge, New York equals Big Apple. I don't know why. Yes, Big Apple. Freddie, many solar panels generate a bit of electricity even though the sky is overcast. Yes, I noticed that as well. It's not as much, but on a day like yesterday where it was rainy, the solar panels were still generating a little bit of electricity. It's kind of amazing. John Wedge says, I mean Big Apple. Haha. Yes, it is called the Big Apple. From Unabi, that's the wrong slide. Is there any chance you can make a lesson about baseball games? Yes, I do plan to do that. I love to finally figure out the rules of the game. Thanks a lot. I do have a plan to actually go to a baseball game and hopefully I don't get kicked out because I plan to make an English lesson while I am there. In the chat, Mode says City of Love. I thought that was Paris. Maybe they meant Paris, Maine, not the French capital. And then know that what subjects are you teaching today, Bob? And what are you covering with your students at the moment? Only if you don't mind me asking. We are covering the passé simple en français, a verb tense that is only used in the written form and looks kind of strange. In computer class, we are doing product videos. So they are learning how to shoot a video of like a mug, an orbit, pan, zoom in, dolly out. They're learning all the different moves and then how to cut the video together. John says, yes to Freddie Wolf. The weather is overcast now here and still producing enough for the day. Yeah, very cool. Yeah. I'm just fascinated by solar panels. I think they're really, really neat. From Miller, sir, as far as I know, the light behind you is called warm light. Is that right? Thank you. Yes. So you can have bright white. You can have, oh, I forget the actual names, but yeah, this is called, there's soft white, bright white, and then warm. So this is a warm tone. It has a bit of orange to it. We tend to prefer lights like that in our house at night because they they're not harsh. Like the light that's shining on me here is a bright white light. Judith, hi Bob. Has Jen ever made hanging baskets? Wouldn't it be a good business to start? Thanks. It kind of depends because, okay, Jen has never made hanging baskets. But even though we grow flowers, it's a slightly different type of business. So when you grow flowers and sell bouquets, people come every week and buy a bouquet quite regularly. When you grow hanging baskets, it's tricky because if the weather in May isn't nice, oftentimes you don't sell very many. So that's what I mean by it's a tricky business. If the weather in May is warm, you'll sell a lot. But people in my part of Canada don't actively start gardening until we get a few warm days. If it feels like winter, they will not buy things. So it's really tricky. Let's see here. No, that says, don't forget to take a sip. And I think you overlooked a few questions at the beginning of the chat. Let me go back up to the top. Whoa, there's a bunch there. It must have popped by. Thanks. Let me see here. The Windy City, know that. Cy Sandy, hi Bob. There's no explanation below the vocabulary in today's slides. Is there any reason? Just curious. Two reasons. The practical reason is I didn't have a lot of time making the lesson, but the reality is when I'm describing things where the picture accurately and completely defines the word, I don't feel a need to have a sentence underneath. Like a solar panel generates electricity. I just want you to know that's a solar panel. So two reasons. There you go. Mode says, hi, Bob. How many bird feeders, birdhouses you have up on your farm? I think Jen has 3 or 4 bird houses and 1 bird feeder. Although I should check. I think it fell down. John Wedge says, hey, Bob, I bought solar panels as well, and I'm loving it. No questions. Just having fun here with this awesome lesson. Hey, folks, don't forget to give a thumbs up. Thank you. Let's see here. No, yeah, now I'm back on track. Subjects, yes, the weather's overcast, still producing. There we go. The thing is, it skips ahead sometimes. Apples, I'm eating some every day. Good job, Freddie. That will keep you healthy. John Wedge says, the 10 panels I bought are 700 watt hours of production each. I'm producing approximately $30 per day. It's a little crazy. I keep using the word crazy. What's happened is the price of solar panels and the price of batteries have dropped quite a bit in the last 2 years. So it's a lot easier to experiment and learn about it for me. John Hafia says to John Wedge, is heat not a good thing for solar panels? The UV light is the good thing, but high temps is not a good thing. Is it something like that? Yes. In Canada, you have to be careful because your solar panels can produce the most voltage and the most power in the middle of winter when it's really cold. They become more efficient as it gets cold. So you have to size every part of your system for that random day in the middle of January at noon where they might overproduce. Smartian says, I'm watching your live video for the first time. I hope to get to learn something new in this. Thanks. I hope you do too. Wanda says, hi, Teacher Bob. How much time of sun is necessary to charge a solar panel? After being charged, how long does it last? So depending on your system, you will be charging the batteries, and you design it so that with 3 to 4 hours of good sunlight, you should be able to charge whatever size battery you have. So it's kind of complex to describe, but it's less electricity than you think when you start to run things from it. Let's see here. From Freddie, when your solar panels generate more electricity than you really need, can you sell part of it to your electricity company? You can enter into agreements in Canada to do that. I currently do not have that, but I am exploring that. Mode, he skipped mine about bird feeders, birdhouses. Thanks for reminding him. I thought I got kicked by Nightbot or something. Nope. I think what happened is the questions went by. Cy Sandy, thank you for answering my question. No problem. John Wedge, if only you use a microinverter, which is usually located under each panel. I decided to buy a general inverter for all the panels, which are not located under the solar panels. That's what I did as well. So all of my solar panels connect back to what's called a solar charge controller. Know that, System Mode, you're awesome, or you're welcome. Sorry, he also thinks you're awesome. I just read that wrong. Know that. Hey, Bob, what are your plans for today or this weekend? Do you have any special on your to-do list? I don't. It's a pretty standard weekend. Lots of lawn mowing. That's on my list. Hafia says to John Wedge, I see. I was looking up on solar panels a few weeks ago and suddenly I keep seeing ads on solar panels. Haha. So the heat thing I saw from one of the ads. Yes. Heat and solar panels. Like heat's okay, but it will reduce the output of your panels. Okay, before this turns into a massive solar panel lesson, let me turn off members only chat and once again thank members for being members. You guys are awesome. I appreciate your contributions to this channel. Let me check to make sure. Yeah, everything's working good. We should get back to the lesson. By the way, Brent did not respond. He must be in the middle of a lesson right now. That would be my guess. Maybe he has a busy day at school, or maybe he has the day off and he's sleeping in. We'll have to see. Okay, let me get a sip of water here. And then let's finish off this lesson. Here we go. QR code. If you scan this one, it just takes you to my YouTube channel. These are little codes that your phone can scan, and it will usually take you to a website or a survey or a form or a coupon for a free concert ticket, something like that. So this is a QR code. You see them everywhere. Now, at least. 10 years ago when they were new, you didn't, but now there are QR codes everywhere. This is a bike rack. If you ride a bike, when you get to the place where you are going, you hope that they have a bike rack. Outside of our school, there is a bike rack. Outside of the library, there's a bike rack. Outside of the mall, there's a lot of bike racks. And what you can do is you can put the front tire of your bike into the bike rack, and then you can put a lock on it. I don't know if that bike is locked, but you can lock your bike. You can chain your bike to the bike rack so that no one steals it. So bike rack, a place to park your bike so it doesn't fall over, and a place where you can lock your bike or chain your bike up so no one will steal it. Cart corral. I don't know if that's what these are called in other English-speaking countries, but in my part of Canada, if you go to the grocery store, there are grocery carts. I think they call them trolleys in the UK. There are grocery carts, and when you are done using it, you put it in the cart corral. Now, if you don't know the word corral, it's an older word for a place where they would keep horses in a farmyard. It was usually round, and it was a place where they would keep them temporarily or train them or teach them how to have a rider on them with a saddle. But now we use the word corral for other things. So cart corral, a place where you put your grocery cart after you're done using it, after you've unloaded your groceries into your car, you put them in the cart corral. Cup holder. Almost every modern vehicle has 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 cup holders, or 7. If it's a minivan, a cup holder is a place to put your cup. So that when you're driving, when you accelerate and when you hit the brakes, the cup doesn't fall over because it's in a nice little holder. I do not have one of these. This is on the list because I want one, but I don't. They're kind of expensive. A garage door opener is something that will open your garage door when you simply push a button on the remote control. My sister has a garage door opener. I think my other sister has a garage door opener. I have never had one. I think the problem is they're kind of pricey. They're a little bit expensive. And I feel like I'll just get out of the car and open the garage. In addition to that, we don't often park our vehicles in our garage anyways. So a garage door opener, a small motor with a connection to the door, and it will open the garage door. If you want to know what it sounds like, it's like, that's the sound I think it makes. I don't know for sure because I don't have one. 2 of my vehicles have gas caps. My new vehicle doesn't. It has like this automatic thing where you can just put the nozzle in. But a gas cap, by the way, it's not the flap. It's the black thing the person is touching in this picture. That is a gas cap. It's basically the lid for the gas tank in your car. So when you get to the gas station, you unscrew the gas cap. When you're done, you screw and then tighten the gas cap so that it doesn't let gas fumes out I don't think the gas would slosh enough to splash out. In fact, I think cars prevent that. But yes, that is the gas cap. Lanyard. So this is the lanyard I wear when I go to the big YouTuber convention. I don't go to big YouTuber conventions. Anyways, the lanyard is the actually like the fabric or rope part of this. So when you wear a lanyard, I'm talking about the blue part here. You can also have your keys on a lanyard. Often teachers at school, because we need keys for all the different doors, we'll have our keys on a lanyard. Or if we have a special event, like in a few weeks we have Grandparents' Day, you will have your ID card on a lanyard so people know who you are. So that is a lanyard. And this is a 3-hole punch. This is something I only use when I forget to tell the photocopier to punch the handouts. So when I make a photocopy at school, I can tell the photocopier, put holes in the paper so it can go into a 3-ring binder. But I often forget, and then I have to do it manually. So if I forget, I use the 3-hole punch to put 3 holes in a piece of paper so it can go into a binder, a 3-hole punch. Often at our school, it's like, where's the 3-hole punch? Does anyone know where the stapler is? Does anyone know where the 3-hole punch is? And it's not me. I don't lose stuff. So anyways, that is a 3-hole punch. Hey, that's the lesson. Unabi says, I missed part of the lesson trying to put my long question into a limited length question form. Sorry about that. But I will get to your question in a sec. Let me do that. Let me get questions on the screen. And we will finish off the questions. The main part of the lesson is done. Henry from Taiwan. Hi, Henry. Henry's been around for a while, by the way. Hi, Teacher Bob. What's the difference between the 2 words thing and thingy? Thanks so much. So thingy is like a general term. So here's this mug. Thanks for the mug, by the way. And it has this thingy hanging off the end. I don't know what this is called. I could say there's this thing hanging off the end, but I would more likely say there's a thingy. And by the way, thanks again for the mug. You could say too, like I have a few of these figurines on my desk. If you didn't know what they were called, you would say, what are those things called? Or what are those thingies? So thingy is just a little more fun to say, a little more informal. Name. How can I speak like Bob the Canadian? Well, if you listen to me enough, you will probably naturally start to sound like me. That definitely does happen. I'm just scrolling back here. Freddie says car corral equals abricadi. Oh, like a shelter for the, oh yeah, very cool. Yes, they used to shake the car when filling the gas. We didn't, maybe to get more in. Maybe if you shook the car, you could get more in. And Freddie says, pay attention that your cups aren't filled up too much. Otherwise they could flow over in your car. Yes, that does happen if you don't have the right lid. Hafia says, hey, that's the mug I sent along with one for Jen. Yeah, I have one on my desk. We do actually use these. I have the one that says Bob. There you go. Okay, let me see here. Ooh, from mode A. Is this the real mode or is this the other mode? What are the names of the different parts of trousers? Well, you have the pant leg. At the very bottom, you have the, is it called the cuff on a pant? I don't know. I'm not a fashion expert. You have the pockets. You have lint in the pockets. You have the belt loops for the belt. You have a zipper on the front or maybe buttons. Yes, I think I got that all right off the top of my head. And then Irina. Hi, Bob. Could you explain, please, what can you call the different things at the children's playground? Thank you. I will make a lesson at a playground someday. I'll do it early in the morning before anyone's there, because it's not cool to videotape at a children's playground if there's children there. Okay, so I'm not going to do that, but I might go early and do one at some point when the sun is just coming up. But there would be things like swings, teeter-totter, and a few other thingies that I can't think of the name for. From Bumblebee. Hello, Bob. Just a simple request. Since it's going to be the World Cup this year, how about lessons about cultural stuff around the world? I hope you like the idea. I'll see what I can do. I have to still do a bit of research about the World Cup. I know we're one of the hosts, but I should probably know more than I do now, but that is a great idea. From Unabi, I used to use an EcoFlow for powering internet router and optic terminal during AC shortages, but then realized using just a USB power bank and a DC converter is more efficient. Yeah, so I like the battery banks are not as efficient, but it is nice having like a second line of defense. If my battery goes dead, then at least the Blue Eddy continues working. Okay, what do we got here in the chat? I don't think it's the real mode. Not me, says Mode. Hafia says Mode usually adds some emojis. Haha. I can tell when it's not the real mode because the questions are a bit shorter and not as intricate. So, hey, we're done. If you're one of the 180 people watching, you should subscribe to the channel by clicking the subscribe button. If you want to support me and the work I do on this channel teaching English, please consider becoming a member. It is a win-win situation. I get a little bit of money. You get extra materials to help you learn English. And I think most people find them quite enjoyable. So please consider that by clicking the join button. This lesson will come out in a shorter version in a couple days. I will remove all of the questions from viewers, and it will be a pure random lesson talking about everything from crocs to 3-hole punches. So please do re-listen to it or re-watch it to help you remember what you've learned. In the chat, John says, awesome channel. Now headed to Jen's channel again. Thanks for doing that. Know that says, thanks for the wonderful hour and your time, Bob. It was uber fun hanging around with you as always. Wishing you and your family a marvelous Friday and weekend. Take good care. It's actually a long weekend. It's a long weekend in Canada. I didn't realize until yesterday, but Monday is Victoria Day. We have a holiday on Monday. Know that says Mode has a special way of speaking, or rather writing, and it is unique. It is correct and it is unique. Yeah, it's not like I recognize Mode's writing because it's incorrect, but he has a style and it's very correct. Let's see here. I think that's everything. Bye to Unabi. Bye to Gaeta, Helena. Bye to Aerosmith. And bye to Uliana and John Wedge and Hafiez. Bye to all of you. Bye to, I'm just saying bye to whoever says bye. Bye to Sophia as well. And I think I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. See you Tuesday with another new English lesson. And I'll see you next Friday with another live lesson. I'm still very much enjoying doing these lessons. Although today I got up at 6 a.m. to finish the handout slides for the lessons. So that was not as enjoyable, but still fun to hang out with you. Bye to Unabi, Sophia, Know That, Uliana, Ali Reza, Azia Malak, Sai Sandy, John Wedge, Freddie Wolf, Aerosmith again. Bye to all of you. You guys are awesome. Have a good weekend.